Dr. Al Pinkerton.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I rise today to thank the Government for the emphasis that they have placed on transport and critical national infrastructure in their agenda so far, to urge them to go further, and also to dangle the very exciting prospects offered by my constituency of Surrey Heath, the unlocked economic potential that they have, but also to try and draw attention to some of the unmet needs of my constituents in Surrey Heath as they stand today. Surrey Heath, along with the rest of the southeast of England, is often seen as a well-connected and prosperous part of the country. But that perception, I would suggest, has allowed a troubling complacency to take root. Beneath that surface impression lies a set of worsening transport challenges that limit opportunity, stifle growth, and place a daily strain on residents across the towns and villages of my constituency. We are the second most car-dependent constituency in the country, with 1.64 cars per household, well above the national average. And that figure isn't the result of convenience or affluence, but of necessity. Public transport is patchy, unreliable and poorly integrated, and in some areas absent altogether. That car dependency comes at a huge financial cost to my constituents, but also places a huge pressure on our road infrastructure. Junction 3 of the M3 is frequently overwhelmed and is a daily staple of the morning and evening traffic reports. Any listener to LBC or Radio 2 will know the otherwise wonderful village of Lightwater by its association with congestion and long delays, which is really terribly unfair because it really is a rather lovely place. The A322, our principal arterial route connecting several villages, is frequently at a standstill. Frustrated drivers bail out and cut through nearby villages like Windlesham, which is also equally lovely, turning residential roads into rat runs. The Lightwater bypass, designed to ease traffic flow, now regularly grinds to a halt. But this isn't only about congestion, it's also about safety and the livability of those communities. Residents along the aforementioned A322 report frequent speeding, dangerous driving and noise. There have been serious accidents, some of which have been very tragically fatal. But calls for basic safety measures, such as speed enforcement, remain unanswered.
Will my honourable friend give way?
I would be delighted to give way.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way, and he mentioned safety measures. In my constituency on the A27, we have the Fishbourne roundabout, which I know many of my constituents avoid like the plague. And I actually was caught on that same roundabout just the other week with a staff member in my car, and we had a very near miss. Does my honourable friend agree with me that the concept of we will deal with the problem once an accident has happened or a fatality has occurred is absolutely the wrong way to plan for protections on these roads, and we need to fix the problems before those deaths ultimately occur?
Well, my honourable friend won't be surprised to hear that I agree with her entirely. We've had several fatalities, and very often our local county council makes the same kind of claim, that we can't do anything, we won't do anything until there's greater evidence of safety need, the ultimate expression of which, of course, is very tragically often a fatality. Bus services in my constituency are sparse and in some areas non-existent. In villages like Chobham, there's no regular bus service at all, and when buses do run, they're often poorly timed with train connections, leaving residents waiting or missing links. For many, the only option is costly private transport. And that disproportionately affects the elderly, young people who haven't yet learned to drive or haven't been able to access driving test appointments because of the crisis in that particular part of our civic life right now, but also lower income households. In 2025, the simple act of travelling to work, attending work, school or hospital should not be dependent on car ownership or expensive, very often more than £15 taxi journeys. Now, those pre-existing challenges now collide with demands for rapid additional development. And with the government's commitment to build 1.5 million homes, Surrey Heath is expected to deliver a 113% increase in housing over coming years. But 74% of my constituency is already constrained by Greenbelt or other planning restrictions. The village of Deepcut alone, for example, at the former army base that, of course, has become kind of notorious in the public imagination, has already delivered and will continue to deliver over the next couple of years 1,200 new homes, good, but placing thousands of more vehicles on roads already under pressure because there's no public transport that's being put in alongside those housing increases. Meanwhile, our rail infrastructure has not only failed to keep up with the times, it's actually gone backwards. Camberley, our largest town and the home to the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, is just 28 miles from central London. Yet journeys regularly exceed 75 minutes in duration, with only 3 direct trains per day, none aligned with standard commuting hours. Mr. Deputy Speaker, it now takes longer to travel to London from Camberley in 2025 than it did in 1925. Commuters are often forced to jump into their cars and travel to Woking, Brookwood or Farnborough, adding to road congestion and hindering any meaningful move towards the realisation of sustainable transport aspirations. We need a long-term strategic approach to infrastructure. That means faster, more direct train links, dependable and integrated bus routes, and delivery ahead of, not after, major housing developments. That's why I am calling on the government to commission a national survey of local connectivity in order to build an accurate picture of travel times within and between our communities and regional economic centres. We must identify the areas most underserved and ensure that investment is guided by evidence and lived experience, not just assumptions of affluence and connectivity. And such a national review would enable a more coherent strategy, I believe, to emerge. And in an era where every pound matters, and I think all of us recognise that every single pound matters right now, that kind of connectivity mapping would provide a valuable guide for critical investment decisions. Decisions that must unlock latent economic potential in areas that have been left behind. And without anticipating the results of such a survey, I have every belief, every inkling that communities like mine in Surrey Heath would emerge from such a study and show themselves to be ripe for that kind of economic investment. So if we're serious about building sustainable, connected communities and making every pound of investment count, which surely we all do, we must begin by listening, identifying those gaps and acting to close them.